And we're rolling, brothers, and the occasional sister. This is the last video for 2022. Woo! Man, what a year. What sort of a year was it for you? And what challenges did you meet head on? And how did you go through those challenges? For me personally, it was the hardest year of my life, and I'm still here to tell a tale. I lost a lot this year. I lost people I love, and I lost things that I love, but I'm still here, and I think I'm winning the good battle. And it is a battle, but I'm coming out the other end with hope. And that's one thing you've got to have. You always got to have hope. I think when people come to the very end and everything seems hopeless, that's when they give up. And I've never given up. Although a lot of situations have felt hopeless, so I haven't given up, and I'm winning. Anyway, I hope you're winning too, and this message finds you well. This is a very small channel. It's never going to be a big channel. It's just a personal one, and it's a one where I speak the absolute truth, and I don't sugarcoat anything. Consequently, I've had one strike against the channel this year, and I'll be getting plenty more strikes. So I want to talk about a topic that will possibly give me a strike, where I'm going to tell you to be disobedient about something, or suggest, not tell you, suggest. Tell sounds like I'm dictating, and I would never do that. I suggest. Basically, this is around the old saying we keep hearing now. It's come out of the World Economical Forum. By 2030, we'll all have nothing and be happy. Well, I've been poor and had nothing, and I was happy, and I've had money and something and a home like I have now, and I'm happy. And I don't think either way makes you happy or not happy. Happiness is a state of mind. So firstly, I think that saying is a crock of shit. One of the things we're seeing in Europe, and we're having it here too in New Zealand, is that huge expectations are put onto homeowners to upgrade and make their homes energy efficient. Now, I don't think there's anything wrong with a home being energy efficient if you can afford to do that. After all, it's you that's paying for the energy. I think if you're a landlord, you have an obligation to make sure that your tenants and the home you're renting them is safe and warm and secure and energy efficient, because they're paying for that, and you're getting an income, or you're getting the mortgage paid, or having you set it up. But that's as far as it should go. For people's own homes, I think how they treat that should be up to their expenses that they can afford to put into that home, what they can afford to pay for. Not everybody can afford to pay for something. I'm going to have to hold this phone because the wind's going to blow it down, and then it's going to be the end of the clip. I'll get out of the wind. Actually, I'll take you inside because it's windy out there. I'm wearing a brand new top that Hillary gifted me, and there's a person there that her and her sister are now living here at the homestead with me, and they both do amazing work in our community. They run the homestead in Wakefield, and they lost where they were renting, and so I gifted them my houseboat because I'm not using it, and I gifted them indefinitely a piece of land to live on for the rest of their existence without asking anything, because of the situation that they were in. And I got this nice jersey. That's not why Hillary knitted that. She's just a lovely person, and she's convalescing right now because she's had an injury. She was actually injured by her chiropractor, and so while she was convalescing and is convalescing, she knitted me this nice top. I digress. So this you will be happy and own nothing is a way of the elitists taking over what the middle class or even the lower class have themselves. So what do? Like in Europe right now, they're enforcing that people upgrade their homes to fit with the energy requirements. And for some people, it could be as much as 200,000 New Zealand dollars to do that, which they don't have. So then they're forced in selling to speculators that own property. So the elite, the wealthy, end up owning that place, upgrading it and renting it, and then charging out the exorbitant fee to the person that they're renting it to, and the other person that owned it, loses their home and then has to rent somewhere and ends up costing more. This is a whole way that we're seeing this go. So I don't believe it's just for the environment. I think that's a crock of bullshit. I say always follow the money. So I said at the beginning of this video, I'd suggest to be disobedient, and I would suggest that on anything. Whether you're mandated against something because it doesn't fit with your protocol of your personal beliefs, don't be a sheep. Through society, we've seen sheep, and look how many sheep sat by as 8 million Jews got slaughtered in World War II. People like You and me, good people who sat and did nothing and who were obedient through fear, while their fellow countrymen who happened to be Jewish or of other descent or something which didn't quite fit were put in gas chambers and killed. And history has a bad habit of repeating itself. It's happened plenty of times. Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm a realist, and I can see it's on the wall, written on the wall already. I can see that a lot of my friends in Europe will not be able to afford their upgrades. I worked in Europe from 1991 to 2005. So I have a lot of German friends, a lot of Austrian friends, Greek friends, and some of the older ones who have family homes that have been passed down now from family to generation, suddenly have been hit with these requirements. Just, you've got to upgrade. We've had it in New Zealand to some degree after a leaky home syndrome. Leaky home, what's the proper terminology for that? I don't think it's called a syndrome. Anyway, you know what I'm trying to say. So, just say, no, I can't afford that, I'm not doing it. Now, that will come at a price, of course, because there's always fines and penalties, but we are the greater mass and they are the few, the 1% that control everything. And if we say no, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? I'll be saying no. My home has only got 2 rooms insulated because I can't afford to finish it. I bought the land and the home came free with it. I've got 2 rooms. I've got this room and I've got my bedroom. The rest of it is uninhabitable pretty much. And if I can't afford to get it finished, then I won't. I would actually demolish the rest and just live in these 2 rooms if they said that to me. I'd get the roof rebuilt and I'd just have a kitchen and an outside toilet if I'm allowed one. And even if I'm not allowed one, I'd have one because I just can't afford it. And there's a lot of people in my situation. If I had children living here, it would be different. I would make sure I finished it because they'd be living in in harsh conditions. Well, actually, I raised my children in harsh conditions because we all lived in here, and we all lived under the same roof. Having said that, it was cold in the winters and we had rats running through the house, but we made it through, and we just couldn't afford anything more. It was the most we could afford at that time. And if we'd had that enforced on us then, we would have, well, we were renting then, but we were renting to someone that we agreed to because it was a low rent we could afford, and we actually found that it was quite, for us, didn't matter because we were hardly at home anyway. We were always out hunting and fishing, and we were never at home, so we weren't sitting at home freezing our tits off all day. We were out doing stuff, and my kids and I were always in the bush, which is often more colder than here. I digress again, I get off track. Anyway, that's a thing that's been going through my mind. When I make these videos, I don't plan what I'm going to say, I just say it off the top, so sometimes I tend to go around in circles. So if you're still following me, thank you. Now, one thing we were taught at school was how to work and how to do our maths and our English, and we studied history, and we learnt woodwork and we did metalwork, and we learnt certain things that have been beneficial to us. We learnt how to accumulate and work hard, and you buy stuff, and we all have a tendency to buy stuff that we think we need when quite often we don't, and we end up with quite often clutter. And right now I'm in a process of decluttering stuff. It's hard because my kids come home and they just drop stuff off. Like, I've inherited all my daughter's kayaks and stuff. My son's bedroom's got surfboards and skis, and suddenly there's clutter again. But for my own personal clutter, there's things that don't serve me anymore. I need to clear them out. So I'm doing that right now, which has been very, very liberating. In this last year, I've lost so much, and I've been attached to the people and the things I've lost, and I've had to let go. And this is something they never taught us at school to do, how to let go. And I think it's important that we all learn how to let things go, because when we let things go, like a food we like to eat, or a habit we have, or something that's dear to us, something that we love, and we say, oh, that makes me happy, but I've got to let it go. I can't drink coffee anymore, or I can't have salt, or I can't drink whiskey anymore, or I can't eat this type of food because of my health. It's difficult. We have a freedom to choose that most of the time, and a lot of people go, I can't do it. It's just the one thing I enjoy. I'm going to have caffeine in my coffee. But if we're fighting a good battle to better ourselves and to survive, I think we need to learn to be able to disassociate and let go attachment of things that we're attached to. And I think when we do that, we end up then with more space, just like the clutter I've got to get rid of in my life right now. and we can actually reshape ourselves and be a better version of ourselves than what we were yesterday. And that's something that I've been forced to do, and often crisis in our lives forces us to do that. Something comes along, we lose our partner, or we lose our dog, or we lose something that we really love, and suddenly we're left with this really big void of pain and emptiness and grief. And it's horrible, particularly when it's people we love. We never were taught at school how to accept and to let go attachment to things and people we love. They didn't teach us that. It's something we have to just wing our way through as we go along. And personally, I've really struggled with it. Christmas time is a time which I always think of families being together, and I don't have a partner to go through Christmas with, or didn't, or the family has been broken because the relationship failed. Now, my kid's mother's a wonderful person, and I actually went and saw her on Christmas Day, so that was really nice. I was with her and her husband, but it wasn't my family, but it was nice that they opened their home to me, and my children and I were all together with them. But having a woman that you love, if you're a man, and being with the woman you love on Christmas Day is kind of goes hand in hand. And whilst I was really happy to be around those people, I pondered about the time once when we were a family, a whole family, and how that felt and how it was more natural to be that. My own relationship with my girlfriend didn't weather the storm at all this year when I got really sick. It didn't weather the storm. In fact, it hasn't. I haven't seen her for it's over. So that's been another attachment I've had to struggle with. And then through becoming very sick, I had to give up certain foods that I just love and live for, and that's another attachment. And then having my nephew drown, that's been a really difficult one for me to process and go through, and I'm still grieving, and it's a process. And that void, I can't fill it with something, but I know it's important to go through the process of letting go, and the grief is still in here, but each day I must actually go through that process. I can't just block it, because that's unnatural. And you will be the same with people that you love, that you've lost, whether you've lost your partner or your own child, which if you have, I really feel for you, or the partner you loved, or the wife that you're missing right now. All of those things are very, very difficult. And as I said before, we didn't ever get taught how to deal with this way of losing something and detaching ourselves and going forward. We were never given the tools at school, and to me it's one of the most basic human things that we should have been taught. And the solution to the problem for me, and this may not be for you, but for me the solution to the problem has and always will be having a strong support network and not isolating myself when I'm in those times of feeling lonely, like on Christmas Day, making sure I still am proactive at going and being with people. In the case of, I'm fortunate that I have a good friendship still with my children's mother, and she invited me there, so I wasn't spending Christmas Day alone. And I have had some Christmas orphans here. Young Jody, who's staying with me right now, who I've been looking after since he's 13 on and off. He's been with me from Christmas, and he's with me right here to New Year's Eve, and he'll be probably longer. I don't know how long he's staying. That's all very, very heartwarming for me, that these young people come back. But our own children and our own blood that we've raised from the beginning, and the woman that we've had them with, to us men, is always important in our hearts, even if we're broken up. Well, it is to me anyway. And I would, again say to you, if you're someone that's similar, make sure that you build up your support network, and you have that strong support network around you. So when you go through ill health, or you go through an emotional challenge, or a spiritual challenge, or a physical challenge, or a mental challenge, mental health, we all have it, you've got a support network around you. One of the reasons that I gifted to Margaret and Hillary my houseboat is because of all the good they had. I was staying under their roof while I was very sick this year, a lot of the time. And when I became well and came home, I didn't forget the kindness they gave me. And so I gifted them a place to live for as long as they want. They can stay forever, or if they want to move out, that's absolutely fine. But the other reason too is they had become part of my network, so my network is now close. And they are good friends that I love very much. Margaret was my nurse when I was sick 4 years ago through cancer, and she nursed me. She is an incredible nurse, and she's nursed me through my latest bout with heart problems and disease. And the whole family is. Her brother Peter is the main guy on my health team, and I make sure I give all these people something back. Oh, my washing machine's going. I wonder what the noise is. It's going round and round. I think it's a bit uneven. It's so that's part of my support. I've got a massive support team, and I'm proactive at making that happen. Now, the ego, the human ego, which we all have to some degree, larger or smaller, mine's been whittled away over the years. There's nothing like a radical prostatectomy to cut your ego down if you're a bloke, I'll tell you. But mine's been cut right down, which is a good thing on one level, because ego is what separates us from people. I've talked about this before, but ego is when you walk through a park and you see a man drinking the alcohol out of a bag, a brown paper bag, and you sit at him and you go, and you don't stop to talk to that man and find out his story, to find out that he's probably very, very similar to you in lots of ways. In fact, we're all very similar. Ego is when you think of yourself as being better, and that is a shortcoming of us human beings. And I see everybody as my equal, and me as equal to everybody, even if they're incarcerated in prison for murder or they've done something really bad. I know there will be aspects of them that are beautiful and wonderful, but there'll also be parts that are dark, and we all have darkness in us. Some of us just didn't go to jail for the dark things we've done because we did it behind closed doors, or we did something which was bad. To think of myself, and I was talking this morning about this, about poaching, and I'm ashamed to say it, but I poached a lot in my younger day, and I've been on property I shouldn't have with a firearm. That's a jail sentence. I just never got caught. It was never my intention, but having pig dogs, they cross boundaries, and you've got to go and get them when they get the pig, and then you find yourself on somebody's property, the back of someone's farm, and you've got a firearm. It's happened 3 times I can think of. All 3 times after it happened, and this is before cams were around, all 3 times when I got the pig, I then made an effort. 2, I went to them and there was nobody home, but one was the guy was there, and I told them after the fact. And the guy that I told after the fact was very good about it. The other 2 I wouldn't know because they were never there and I never went back. But these are things that we do. And yeah, it's a day, I believe, going on a property with a firearm I'm pretty sure you could go to jail for that. It's illegal hunting, and it's carrying a firearm on someone's property. I don't think it's something you could certainly lose your license over it, I imagine. And we've all done things that could land us in jail that we're just lucky we didn't get caught. I've also, when I was a teenager, I remember driving when I was drunk one time, the only time I ever did it. And I'm ashamed to say I did that because I could have killed somebody. I can remember it clearly. I was with my mate, Pedro, and yeah, I can remember I shouldn't have been driving. I would have been 17, 18 maybe. All of us. I don't think there's one person watching me right now that hasn't done something that they're ashamed of. It's part of our human nature, and that's just how we are. And I don't live with the guilt of those things. I live with the knowledge not to ever do them again. I don't beat myself up because I can freely talk about it without feeling I'm being judged, although people will judge me because it's the nature of human beings, but it doesn't really matter. It's how I see it myself. And these things are things that we hopefully learn by. Hopefully we learn. I don't believe there's really such thing as a real true mistake unless it's something you don't learn by. And looking back on my own life, I think of the silly things I've done, and yeah, dumb, but I wouldn't have the wisdom that I've created. And most of the dumb things I've done, I paid for. More so paid for than what they were worth when I look back. This year is done and dusted. I hope this year for you, whatever you were challenged by, or whatever things you faced and had to go through, whatever losses you had, I hope that you've been able to use all those things to make yourself a better man, or woman for that matter, if you're a woman watching this, which you probably aren't, mostly men watching this, But I hope that you're able to take all of those things and use them to serve you for a better future, and for your community around you a better future, and the people that you love and that you support, and take those tools and pass them on to a younger generation so they can gain from your loss, so your loss isn't in vain. It's really important to have gratitude, otherwise we become bitter in our loss, and practice gratitude for what the things we have. If my back is hurting me like it did last night and I don't get any sleep, and I wake up without any sleep and I'm tired, I go, well, what have I got going for me though? What's working? Well, my legs are still working, my arms are still working, so I can get out in the garden and do something. Treat your year like that. Look at the things that where your cup is half full and the things you've got, and be grateful for those. Because you can lose those things too. That's the nature of this life. And go into 2023 with an optimism and a bright future. And also be a little bit disobedient, like I said, on things that are true to yourself. Don't live in fear of control. Whatever the things are, whatever pops up, whatever your government tells you you've got to do, if it doesn't feel morally right, stand your ground. That's what a man does. We men, we don't buckle, we stand our ground. Men stand their ground. Men don't live in fear. Men feel the fear and men feel the fear and they say to themselves, I can feel this thing I'm fearful about. I'm not just going to feel the fear and go through it. I'm going to go through it, and as I feel the fear, I'm going to nurture myself. I'm going to look after myself like I have in the past, and I'm going to deal with it step by step. And I'll be okay, because I've been okay in the past when I've had fear. People say feel the fear and do it anyway. I say feel the fear and take care of yourself as you go through that transition of fear. If you're having to go to hospital and have a surgery that's invasive and could kill you, or could render you paralysed, or could render you with a great loss, but it's the only thing left to keep you alive, then go into that and say, I'm going to look after myself and treat myself well through this process, and I'm going to be my own best friend to myself, and we're going to get through this, rather than just blindly go through stuff. Care about yourself, brothers. Because really, brothers, we're really by ourselves, you know. We're really by ourselves. A lot of women, when the rough gets going, they want a man that's strong. They want a man that provides. If you get sick, you can't do those things, often they bail. Not all of them. There's a few good ones out there that stand by their men, but there's plenty that don't too. Don't I know? So we need to learn to stand strong by ourselves. And eventually, one day, there's an old saying, you want to be the strongest man at your father's funeral. When the time comes to lose your father or your mother, or if you haven't already, or someone you love, you are strong for those around that are grieving, for a shoulder to lean on. And then in your own time, behind closed doors, you do your own private grieving. Or grieve in front of people too, but I have no problem shedding tears, but I also think there's certain times we need to be strong and endure pain to support our children particularly. I don't want my children to see me cry. It upsets them. My own mother never ever knew I had cancer or any of the things I had wrong with me. I never told my mother anything because I don't want to upset her. Why do that? And this is one thing we need to learn to do. We need to endure pain so we can make sure those around us are not suffering just because we're suffering. I think that's important. And it's really important that we take responsibility for everything that's going on in our lives. If my doctor, when my doctor said you can't do that, I said to him, you watch me do that. Don't use unwellness or pain or disease to be an excuse to not work. We're here to work and we should work hard. I work with pain every day. I figure that the pain is not going to be made much worse. And why is the point in just going, oh, I'm going to go on a sickness benefit? Fuck that. I've got self-respect. I've got dignity and I've got integrity, and I don't want to just be, if I'm not working, then someone else is picking up my share, and I can't live with that. That's caused me more pain. Okay, if I'm really an invalid where I just seriously can't do anything, but so long as I can do something, I will, and so should you as a man. It's important because it's important for your own self-respect, but it's also important for your community and those around you, that they see that you are contributing. That is our role. We are providers. We are hunters, we're gatherers, we're nurturers, and we're carers, and we're providers. And to do that, we must be working hard, working really hard. That's our role. You can work as hard as you want. You can choose how hard you work, but you must work, because if you don't, someone else is doing your work for you. If you're living under a roof, if it's not your roof, then you've got to pay for it in one form or another. So I've got a young guy right now who I can't film because of the fact the state are looking after him still, and I've been teaching him the importance of doing your share of work, and he just has been raised to think that everything should be given to him. He has a sense of entitlement. He come to stay with me a week ago, and he thought it was going to be great. I got him in the garden. He only did 2 hours of weeding, and he threw it in. I said, no, you're weeding 4 hours a day while you're here. No, I'm not doing that. I said, well, see ya. He was one of those kids that I really did want to have, because I'm still getting back on my own feet. And in fairness to him, he did 4 hours a day. He was a shit weeder, and he pulled out vegetables he shouldn't have, but that wasn't the thing, is he stuck to it. Gave me 3 days of working, and so I fed him, took him out to get some decent clothes. We only went to the op shop, but put some clothes on him, and he's going to come back. He's been texting me ever since he's gone. He's missing me. So I think it's important that we teach that to our young men, and young women too, for that matter. Anyway, a bit of a just off the cuff talk. These talks are just me shooting the shit with you guys. Like I said, they're not prepped or anything. My drink's going cold. So I'm going to wish you, normally it'd be a whiskey, but it's just a tea, a green tea, a happy new year, a peaceful new year, a new year where you're brave and strong, where you stand up in your own masculine right and bathe in your own masculine divine energy. Don't take any of that masculine bloody toxic masculinity bullshit. How's it go? Masculine toxicity. How's the tongue twister go? Masculine toxicity. You know what I'm trying to say. Toxic masculinity. Toxic masculinity. Is that it? Did I get it right? I'm so dyslexic. I'm so backwards. You can see why I was such failed at school. Everything's backwards in my mind. I have to shuffle it around. Yeah, that's my own struggle, not yours, but I hope you have a good laugh at my expense. Masculine toxicity. I think that's how you say it. That's a crock of shit. Oh, yeah, it can exist. There are men out there that can have that, but we need to reclaim being a man. And being a man means being responsible first and foremost for ourselves. So, go into 2023. Do epic shit, make stuff happen, get off your bum, get out there and do it, go fishing, go hunting, play golf, go surfing, go water skiing, go mountain biking, go BMXing, go motocross, go horse riding, go trekking, go camping, go ice skating, skiing, water skiing, whatever the hell you love doing, just get out there and make it happen. Maybe just running. Running's a fantastic thing to do. Kayaking, kayak fishing's good. Rafting, abseiling, mountaineering, caving is exciting. Give yourself a challenge. Try my primitive challenge. Go into the bush with just the clothes you're wearing. I showed my patrons this, and I'll show you what Mick Lagarde have sent me. If you're a patron, you've already seen this. So first of all, that's my Armoric jacket that they gave me a couple of years ago, which you can sleep on that. And because my primitive video is coming up to, it's got 800,000 views on now, I think it's going to hit 1 million. They sent me some really cool pants that you can sleep in. They're fully padded on the inside. They've got this padding right through like that there on the inside. And they've got pockets that are deep. And it's felt. It's waterproof, fireproof. So that's going to be for my next adventure. I'll use that in the summertime just for sleeping in at night. It'll be as warm as a sleeping bag. It's like a sleeping bag, but you wear it. And you could lie on the wet ground of that because it's got silicone, so it's waterproof. Not that I will, I build a primitive hut. But anyway, make 2023 a bloody cracker. Do the things you love. Be with the people you love, and build up your support network, men. Don't be alone. I've got a bloody, and I want to thank my support network. You know who you are, guys. You know who you are. My real true support network is only a very small handful of people, but they're people that I totally trust with everything. And I'm very, very grateful to have them in my life. And I wouldn't be alive today if it wasn't for them. And I sincerely mean that 100%. I would not be here. As simple as that. Without a doubt. Lots of love to you, bros. Check on a brother. Check on yourself. Go steady. I'll see you in 2023. See you later.